So this is my projected tier list for what I think is going to happen post Twin Slice nerf. Obviously, I'm probably going to change this in about a week when we get more data. But for right now, this is how I think it's going to go. I'm going to briefly explain why. But if you want more information with the brief description and the deck codes for every single deck, there'll be a link in the description to Reddit posts where I posted this, so you can just get it there. So the first one is Highlander Hunter. Highlander Hunter is number 1 for 2 reasons. First, Demon Hunter was the only deck that really competed with Highlander Hunter across the board. Also, this is across all ranks, not like super high legend. That's the one category that I'm not including. So this is just general for most players. Highlander Hunter only really was competed with Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter was nerfed. It leaves it solo at the top. But also, one of its worst matchups was Demon Hunter, so that just makes it even better. I think that Highlander Hunter's win rate is going to rise, and it was already one of the top decks. And with Mage and Rogue probably seeing more play because of the Demon Hunter nerf, and they have more time to like build up boards and get combos off and stuff, they'll be played more, which will mean Highlander Hunter will just eat them up. Oh my god, Highlander Hunter is going to be insane. Next is Spell Druid. Spell Druid I think is going to be good because even if, over the course of all of the games, right, if on average into the Demon Hunter matchup, because Demon Hunter gets slowed down a little bit, so Demon Hunter can't play the Satyr Overseer turn 3 anymore with a Twin Slice. They have to wait till turn 4. So if, because of that, over the course of thousands of games, Druids are able to play an extra half of a turn on average. So half of the time they'll get one extra turn. I think that will be enough time to buy the Spell Hunter a win. That'll buy them enough time to get wins into the Demon Hunter matchup, which was historically not necessarily that great, especially if you're able to rush them down. So that being said, along with the fact that Rogue can't really deal with wide boards, Mage can kind of. I actually don't think I should keep Mage in the strong against category, so we're going to take that out. But it's strong against Rogue, which will see an increase in the meta. And the decks that it's weakened to are just not seeing much play anymore. And with the Demon Hunter nerf, Spell Druid will be in a really good spot. So next we have the A tier, basically decks that you should play in most situations. First you have Bomb Warrior. Bomb Warrior is the warrior deck with the best response into Spell Druid because it has Brawls, it has Blade Storms, and I have it right in here, my deck code, but if you want to run an extra Brawl instead of a Blade Storm, I actually would highly recommend that. I think that would be a very good replacement, especially considering Brawl is classic. I actually am going to make that replacement in my deck and probably update this deck code for when I post this. But overall, it also beats Highlander decks like Highlander Hunter because you put bombs in their deck. And it beats Mage because you can, well, Highlander, but obviously because you can smack them in the face with weapons. And it was good in other aggro decks. And I think other aggro decks will see a slight rise in the meta with the Demon Hunter nerf, allowing for new aggro decks to maybe take the throne. I think that it does kind of bad into Spell Druid and really bad into Priest, but Spell Druid at least is okay. And I think that this deck will actually have some time to shine. Next is Tempo Demon Hunter. I actually don't think that the Twin Slice nerf is actually going to be as big as people think. I think that it definitely slows them down, but I've played already about 7 games with it, and it doesn't feel that clunky. It actually feels even better with the Warglaives, which is really scary because the Warglaives are already super powerful, and I feel like this is going to inherently buff the Warglaives play and make them want to nerf that eventually. Because now if you have a Twin Slice in hand with the Warglaives, it's a 7 attack weapon that can kill everything, not just 5. So after turn 5, the Twin Slice nerf becomes a buff. So yes, the early game is much worse, and that's where Tempo Demon Hunter wants to have the most pressure, so it is definitely getting nerfed. But because it inherently increases the power of it later game, and it can close out games a little easier, I actually think that it's still definitely A tier, near the top up there with Bomb Warrior. Next is Enrage Warrior. It just struggles against Spell Druid and Highlander Hunter, and the strong matchup being Demon Hunter will see less play. Basically everything about Warrior was kind of wrecked. So I don't really foresee this deck being super good. I feel like it's definitely good because the deck as a whole is good. And if you know how to play it, it has a very high level of mastery. So when fully mastered, I feel like it'll be above Demon Hunter, right below Bomb Warrior. But for the general population, I think that it's probably going to be lower than Demon Hunter. Next, we have good matchups that either A, I know are good but don't have a ton of data on, or B, I actually think are good and have played a decent amount. So first is Quest Warlock. Haven't played it a ton, but I know that it's really strong. And with Demon Hunter not being able to rush you down as fast, I think that this deck has some potential. It can compete late game with some of the best decks, has really good board wipe options, and even has an OTK in it if you can get the Malagos for free, which can be absolutely just destruction, you know? So I think that Quest Warlock is at the top of B tier. I haven't played it that much. It relies kind of heavily on getting some early removal and getting the cards to heal you and wipe the board. With how much card draw they're able to generate and how much heal they're able to generate, I actually think that it definitely deserves to be up here. The only deck that I think might beat it out for this spot is Highlander Mage. I think Highlander Mage and Quest Warlock are really close, pretty much interchangeable. Highlander Mage might be above Quest Warlock, honestly. The only reason why I put it down here is because your win conditions are just RNG. Conjurer's Calling, hopefully high roll. Reno, Box, the Tortilla Pilgrim, even discovering a card with Calicos. There's also Power of Creation. All of these big win condition cards are your big win condition cards are based on RNG. Usually they'll work out well, but sometimes you'll be in a winning position and you'll just get screwed over. And I don't really like that personally, so I put it down a little bit, but I do think that it'll have a really good amount of win rate increase. I think that Demon Hunter being a little bit slower buys Mage a little bit more time to get that one extra taunt out to potentially save themselves the game. And I think that overall it's going to be good. The only issue is with Demon Hunter's extra finishing power, if you don't get healing, if all you have is a taunt, if they get a Warglaves out, they actually are able to do more damage to you at the end of the game, which could be very dangerous. But I think that overall, Highlander Mage is going to rise. Galacrum Rogue is basically the same as Highlander, or not Highlander Rogue, basically Galacrum Rogue, whether it be Secret, Highlander, or Stealth, all of them I'm putting in the same basic category. Very high skill cap deck. You have to have a lot of combos. You need to know when to use what, when you can hold Galacron, when you can use it, how to put combos together, if you should play Edwin or if you should not play Edwin, if you should give Edwin taunt or rush or go for the extra +2/+2. There are a lot of things that go into this deck. I think that outvalues Priest. I think that late game it can outvalue Mage, and it can be kind of aggressive with the 3/1, and it definitely loses to pretty much all aggro decks. So Demon Hunter was nerfed, so this will see a slight increase, but it's not good into a lot of other decks. Like Hunter beats it, the pure aggro decks beat it, which I think will have a higher increase in win rate or play rate, and I just think Galacron Rogue will see more play and higher wins, but it won't be as good as Highlander Mage or Quest Warlock. Next you have Galacrum Priests. Don't know much about it, don't want to talk about it, but I will respect the fact that it's a decent deck. Probably it should be below these aggro decks. You know what, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take these, we're going to go cut, and we're going to move it to the bottom of B tier. Just out of spite, and the fact that I actually think that it is actually worse than these aggro decks. And then you have Pirate Warrior, Murloc Paladin, Dragon Hunter, and Face Hunter. All of these decks, same basic boat. They have very similar win rates into certain matchups, except the only difference is Murloc Paladin loses to Mage, whereas all the other aggro decks beat Mage. But it does much better into Druid than several of the other matchups. Like Dragon Hunter and Face Hunter lose to Druid, but Murloc Paladin wins, and Pirate Warrior also kind of loses. So it does worse into Mage, but it does better into Paladin. So overall, other than that one difference, they're very similar in the decks that they beat. They can rush down Mage and Rogue and Hunter before they get to their mid-game and spike. And with Demon Hunter being nerfed, there will be room for more unique aggro decks. So these will all try to take the spot of that. C tier, basically decks you probably shouldn't play. Shaman of any kind, Libram Paladin is okay. I've played it, I'm about a 50% win rate, but it just feels clunky to me, and very reliant on drawing some of your early Librams. And then Spell Mage is just awful. Would not recommend it. Decks to keep your eye on. Highlander Demon Hunter, especially considering the Twin Slice nerf isn't actually that bad. And I personally had a really high win rate with Demon Hunter. I was 12-4 with Demon Hunter. Like, it's actually a really good deck, and Tempo was nerfed, but Highlander might actually be able to use that 2 damage as opposed to 0 damage better. Because, like, you weren't even really using Altruist either way. I don't even know if I run Altruist in my Highlander deck. So since you don't need those 0-cost cards, it's not actually that important in my opinion. Next you have Galacron and Highlander Shaman. They're not going to get rushed down as hard anymore, and with that little bit of extra time, they can get to their very powerful late game. And Highlander Druid, I've been playing it a little bit. I think that is underrated and will definitely be at least an okay deck, especially if they're not rushed down, and you can set up ridiculous combos and duplicate your hand with Elise. So overall, that's pretty much it for the tier list. I will change the Bomb Warrior deck code slightly to put in another Brawl instead of a Bladestorm, because I really, really like Brawl over Bladestorm. I honestly just do. And another deck that could go down here is Highlander Warrior, but I'm not sure. Highlander Warrior, I feel like a lot of Highlander decks could fit into this last little spot because they're not going to get rushed down as hard, but that one's a little more iffy. I have a lot less data on that one personally, so I'm not going to put it in there. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I can do more stuff like this. I could do this more weekly. Obviously, I have the best decks for Legend, but I can also do this tier list and tell you where pretty much every single deck lies in terms of power level, because sometimes Hearthstone Replay, just looking at win percentages, isn't always the big thing. Because if you look at just win percentages, Murloc Paladin is a top 3 deck. When it really isn't, it just destroys lower ranks where people might not have completed decks, or don't know how to deal with wide boards and don't know how to keep correctly, because this deck snowballs so fast. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Catch you in the next one. See ya.